The Deepings presents The Easter Story.
Over 30 years have passed since Jesus was born, and 3 years since he was baptised by John the Baptist in the River Jordan. Then he went up north to Galilee, proclaiming his good news. He often called himself by a strange title, the Son of Man, and did amazing things. Healed people, freed them from awful stuff in their lives which trapped them, even raised people from the dead. He taught,
share, forgive, trust God, love even your enemies and persecutors.
He gathered 12 men to be particular companions, but all sorts of people followed him. Then he confused them all when he said to them,
Look, we're going up to Jerusalem, and everything written about the Son of Man by the prophets will be accomplished. For he will be handed over to the Gentiles, and he will be mocked, insulted, and spat upon. After they have flogged him, they will kill him, and on the 3rd day he will rise again.
But they didn't understand what he was saying.
Oh, I'm glad to sit down. What our feet'll be like in the morning, I dread to think, but we're out of the sun. It was so bright, it's a relief to be indoors.
Well, the road was bound to be busy, what with Passover. And there's a lot of people here as well.
Yeah, and nearly everyone coming from Galilee uses the same road too. Most folk daren't go straight down from Galilee to Jerusalem through Samaria. My dad hasn't a good word to say about them Samaritans. It's not safe to go that way, so they come all the way south to Jericho and then west over to Jerusalem, 2 sides of a triangle, just to avoid them Samaritans.
Well, I'm not used to being just accepted into any group, but this lot are so welcoming. There's all sorts here, and I'm not the only ex-tax collector either. There's Matthew, and he's one of the 12 closest.
You were never going to be popular if you pushed us that hard for tax. After all, even the Romans didn't want that much. They let you keep your cut. I worried you'd have your cut out of my begging as well, and I was genuinely blind.
Well, the taxpayers thought they were going to get their revenge when all they wanted was to see Jesus. I couldn't get near him for the crowds of them.
In the end, you got a better view than they did. I'll never work out how you reached the first branch to climb up.
I nearly fell off my perch when Jesus called up to me and told me to come down out of the tree. I'd no idea he knew or cared I was there, like I told you. Then he said he was coming round to mine.
Yes, that didn't go down well. Him staying at the house of a traitor.
It was a risk Jesus took doing that, but I was surprised how honoured I felt.
It's going to cost you a packet just to shock the crowd. That bit about half your wealth to the poor and repaying everyone more like, that you've cheated 4 times over. I hope you're prepared for a queue.
You won't have heard Jesus say, tomorrow must look after itself. I'm in no hurry to get back to Jericho anyway. I'd rather stay with you.
Steady on, mate.
Well, I know you now. You were just a nuisance before. I didn't even notice you until you called out to Jesus, and that crowd couldn't shut you up. They did try, though. They were amazed enough when he asked you what you wanted, and you just told him you wanted to see again.
I'll see Jerusalem tomorrow, but that won't stop me getting lost, so I'll need to rely on you.
Jesus, here's Lazarus.
Martha, I thought you'd be in charge, looking after us all. Lazarus, come sit down, my friend. You remember Simon Peter?
I've heard about you two. You're Bart and Zach. Have you heard about my brother Lazarus?
No. Why? What did he...
Lazarus died.
What?
He and Jesus have been friends since we were young. Jesus and his family stayed with us when they came to Jerusalem for festivals. We grew up together. A few weeks ago, Lazarus was very ill, and then, well, he died.
Oh,
Died?
Yes, Mary and I had already sent for Jesus, but he didn't get here till 4 days after we buried Lazarus. When he came, I was so angry with him.
Lazarus will rise again.
I know he'll rise again in the resurrection on the last day.
I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live.
Then he went to the tomb and told them to take the stone away.
Lazarus, come out!
And he did, wrapped in the burying cloths.
Unbind him and let him go.
And that's him sitting over there?
Yes, I can still hardly believe it. And next to him and Simon Peter, that's Simon the leper. That's what Jesus healed him from. This is his house. It's bigger than ours, but I'm still in charge of the catering. Please, you two go and talk to Jesus. He'd like that. Here's my sister. What's she kneeling for? What's she doing? What have you got in that jar, Mary? Oh no, don't do that. It'll break the top. Stop, Mary. It'll spill. Why, Mary, get a cloth, not your hair.
What have you done? What a stupid thing to do. You've wasted it. You've poured it all over Jesus' feet and wiped them with your hair. Why was this perfume not sold? It would have fetched a huge price. The money could have been given to the poor.
Leave her alone. She's anointed my body for burial. Mary, come and sit here with us.
What is that perfume? I've never smelt anything like it before.
I have. A merchant was taking some to Jerusalem. It's oil of nard. Very expensive. That must have been about 1/2 litre she poured out. Where did she get it from? Why?
That was Judas who was angry with her. I know his type. He keeps the group's money bag. He sounds as if he cares about the poor, but as a blind beggar, I learnt to read people's voices. Some really saw me as a human being, but others just put a coin in to do the duty and wished I'd stopped making the place untidy. To be honest, Zach, Judas seems like that sort. But then look at us. Jesus seems to call all kinds of people. Who am I to judge?
Are you two okay? Shall I put the fish stew down here next to the bread? Martha told me about you. Enjoy the bread. Martha gets so passionate about it, and don't the rest of us women know it, the old slave driver.
I'm Zach, and he's Bart. We're from Jericho.
I'm another Mary. I'm from Magdala. Just call me Mary Mag. You've met Mary, Martha's sister, sitting with Jesus, and I'm staying with another Mary, Jesus' mother. She's not here tonight. Jesus doesn't seem to want his mum close by, so she keeps her distance.
So, Mary Mag, how did you get involved with Jesus?
Well, my life wasn't worth living. I was in a terrible state. I terrified people. When Jesus met me, he didn't run away, no matter how I screamed or threatened. He looked into my face, right inside me. He got rid of the demons, and now, because of him, I feel I really want to go on living. When I'm with him, the world lights up.
We both know what you're talking about, Mary Mag.
Mary Mag, help please.
Okay, see you later. She never lets up. No one does hospitality better.
Bart, I feel as if I'm in a dream with all these people being so friendly and their weird stories.
I keep wondering when I'll wake up too. I'm getting confused with who's who.
Well, let's eat and then sleep. They say tomorrow will be another big day.
Time to get up, everyone. We're in the courtyard outside. Jesus will go into Jerusalem riding a donkey. There are leaves from the palm trees along the street for you to wave. Shush, all of you! Here's Zach and Bart. We should hear what they're saying.
What an occasion, Zach. Jewish people from all over the world are here for Passover.
Yes, I hear there are even some from way north of civilization, an island called Britannia, where the natives trade in tin and go into battle wearing nothing at all but blue paint. Our people have heard about Jesus. Some even wonder whether he's the Messiah, come to save us from these Romans and rule the world for God.
I think he is the Messiah. When I could see again, I saw him looking into my eyes. He wasn't just looking to see if my eyes worked, he was looking into me, and he was smiling, like I made him happy. Apart from my mum and dad, I don't think I've ever made anyone happy until now. I believe in him, and not just because he gave me my sight back.
Zach, Bart, have a branch. Folks are getting ready. Now, man.
Thanks, Matthew.
Simon, John, can you tell the teacher the donkey's ready?
Master, let me help you on, please. John, we'll lead the donkey through this crowd. Ready?
The procession stops in front of the crowded temple. Jesus dismounts and everyone enters. A group of priests, scribes, Pharisees and Sadducees watch. There are market stalls where noisy sellers call out their wares.
Change your imperial coins here for temple currency. Make Caesar disappear. Reasonable rates.
Lambs for Passover. Buy here unblemished and spotless lambs. Pigeons for sacrifice. Special offer for the not so wealthy.
Stop! Stop! It is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations, but you are making it a den of thieves. Stop making my father's house a marketplace.
By what authority do you do these things in the temple?
Destroy this temple, and I will raise it up again in 3 days.
Temple has been under construction for 46 years. So how can you raise it up in 3 days?
The crowd is still gathering inside the temple around Jesus. Stall holders clear away their stalls, protesting. The chief priest returns to his colleagues.
This man is performing so many signs. People have heard of him raising Lazarus from the dead. If we let him go on, everyone will believe in him. The Romans will come and destroy both our holy place and our nation. You're high priest. What shall we do?
You don't understand. Better that one man dies for the people than to have the whole nation destroyed. We can't arrest him with such a crowd. We may need to wait until after Passover.
While there are so many witnesses around, could we get him to incriminate himself, to say something rebellious against Roman rule?
Teacher, we know that you are sincere and teach the way of God truly. So do tell us, is it right to pay taxes to the emperor or is it not?
Why are you testing me? Bring me a denarius and let me see it.
Here you are, mate.
Whose head is this on the coin? Whose title?
The emperor's.
Then give to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's.
Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?
What is written in the commandments?
You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and you shall love your neighbour as you love yourself.
That's right. Do this and you'll live.
But who is my neighbour?
Ah, listen. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho. He fell into the hands of robbers who stripped him, beat him, and left him half dead. Now, by chance, a priest was going along that road. When he saw him, he passed by on the other side. A Levite came, but when he saw the man, he too passed by on the other side. A Samaritan going the same way came up to him, and when he saw the man, was moved with pity. Put oil and wine on the man's wounds as a disinfectant and bandaged them up. Then the Samaritan put the wounded man on the donkey he'd been riding and took the man to an inn where he took care of him. The following day he gave a couple of coins to the innkeeper and said, "Take good care of him. When I come back I'll cover whatever more you spend." Which of these three do you think was a neighbour to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers?
The one who showed him mercy.
Then go and do likewise.
What will you give me if I betray Jesus to you?
Are you one of his group?
Yes.
What is your name?
Iscariot. Judas Iscariot.
Judas, it's a big thing you'll be doing. It deserves a good price. Shall we say 30 pieces of silver? You're doing the right thing, of course you are. Not thinking about yourself, but the good of the whole nation.
Odd, Jesus holding up a Samaritan as an example for us. I was gobsmacked. He'll be saying next we ought to shake hands with those blue-painted savages in Britannia.
Maybe he'd look them in the face the same as he looks at me. I tell you, Zach, nothing has ever changed me like that did. I feel like my whole life is turning upside down. So much is changing. Mary Mag told me Jesus has helped loads of non-Jews too.
Now we move on several days to the Thursday evening. In the upper room of a pub, Jesus and the 12 closest in the group have told the story of the Israelite slaves being rescued from their slavery in Egypt, eaten their meal with soft, thin, poor man's bread that must not be allowed to rise, and drunk the wine. The group has been arguing about which of them is, or should be, the most important. Jesus gets up, fetches a towel and a bowl of water, ties the towel around his waist, kneels down and washes John's feet. John looks uncomfortable, confused, and embarrassed.
Well, this is a new tradition on me. The staff would usually wash our feet when we come in. That's as it should be, but not after dinner. I've never known even a Passover meal to include foot washing afterwards. Hands, of course, beforehand, but feet? And why are you doing it, Lord? Foot washing is for staff, not you.
Lord, are you going to wash my feet?
You don't know what I'm doing now, but later you will understand.
You will never wash my feet.
Unless I wash you, you can have nothing more to do with me.
Lord, not only my feet then, but my hands and my head too.
You all call me teacher and Lord, and I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you should wash each other's feet. Please follow my example. Stop trying to be the most important one. Servants are not more important than the master. I'm telling you the truth. One of you will betray me. Judas, do what you're going to do and do it quickly, now. I am with you only a little longer. Where I am going, you cannot come. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you.
Lord, where are you going?
Where I am going, you cannot follow me now. You will follow me afterwards.
Lord, why can't I follow you now? I will lay down my life for you. All these others might let you down, but I never will.
Will you lay your life down for me? I tell you truly, before the cock crows, you will have denied me 3 times.
Even if I have to die with you, I will never deny you.
If you love me, keep my commandments, and I will ask the Father that he will give you another helper to be with you forever, the Spirit of truth.
Jesus stands up, puts down the basin, removes the towel and sits at the table. He takes a piece of the unleavened bread, holds it up and blesses it.
Blessed are you, Lord, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. Take this and eat it. This is my body.
Seeming confused, the disciples pass it to each other. Each takes a piece and eats it. Jesus then takes a cup of wine and blesses it.
Blessed are you, Lord, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Drink from this cup, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many, for forgiveness of sins. You will all desert me tonight, but after I am raised up, I will go ahead of you to Galilee. Let's go to Gethsemane Gardens.
As the group arrives at Gethsemane Gardens, Jesus seems troubled as he speaks to them.
Please, stay here while I go over there to pray. Peter, James, John, will you come with me? My sorrow is so heavy, it's almost crushing me. Please, stay here, but stay awake.
Jesus goes on further, alone, then throws himself on the ground, praying. The 3 disciples sit down, snuggling into their clothes, then slumping and dozing.
Father, if you can, take this cup of suffering away from me, but I'll do as you want, not what I want.
After a time, Jesus returns to Peter, James and John, who are asleep. Jesus wakes them.
Can't you stay awake with me, just for an hour? John, Peter, James! Stay awake and pray you don't fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Father, if this cup of suffering cannot be taken away, then, because you want me to, I'll drink it. Are you still sleeping? Wake up! Listen! The time has come for the Son of Man to be betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up! Look! Here comes the man to betray me.
Judas comes with a detachment of temple guards and other folk. They have bats with them.
Make way for the temple guard!
They push past the people at the garden entrance and come to Jesus. Judas approaches Jesus to hug him.
Jesus.
Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss?
The guards seize Jesus.
Have you come with swords and clubs to arrest me as though I were a bandit? It's just as the prophet said it would be.
Everyone quietly scatters, looking terrified, going in different directions to escape. The guard takes Jesus roughly to the high priest's house, where the Sanhedrin, the ruling council of the Jewish people, presided over by the high priest, has been convened. By now, it's very late at night. Jesus is bound and held by temple guards.
Chief priest, are there any more witnesses to speak against this man? We do not yet have any substantial evidence to convict him.
We have 2 more witnesses to testify.
What do you have to say?
I heard him say, I will destroy this temple made with hands, and in 3 days I will build another, not made with hands.
Have you no answer? What is it they testify against you? Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?
I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of the power and coming on the clouds of heaven.
He has blasphemed. Why do we still need witnesses? You have heard this blasphemy. What is your decision?
Guilty!
Therefore, the sentence ought to be death. Matter for the governor.
2 council members get in front of Jesus. One quickly blindfolds him. The other slaps him hard in the face. Both taunt him. They pull the blindfold off him.
Can't you tell us who hit you then?
Go on. Who was it?
Meanwhile, in the courtyard, servants and guards are standing, warming themselves round a fire. 2 women are standing, unnoticed, beyond the circle of firelight. Mother Mary and Mary Mag. As the trial is going on, Simon Peter appears on the edge of the group round the fire, gradually coming to stand with them in the circle of firelight, when a servant girl turns to him.
You were with Jesus, the man from Galilee, weren't you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sure he was the man with Jesus of Nazareth.
You're making a mistake. I don't know the man.
Oh, you're definitely one of them. You're a Galilean too, and your accent's a giveaway.
I don't know him. Listen to me. I do not know the man. Got it?
Jesus looks up and across at Simon Peter, who sees, turns and walks out, starting to cry as he walks away. The 2 Marys have watched all this and after a while follow him out. As they leave, they bump into Zac and Bart in the street.
Mary Mag.
You two, don't go in there whatever you do. They've condemned him, the council, our leaders.
But surely it's not legal to hold a trial by night.
They want him dead, but they don't want the responsibility, so they'll get the Romans to do it. They'll take him to the Roman governor early, before many people are around. Oh, Mary.
Mary? Are you Jesus' mother?
Yes, I am. He's tried for so long to protect me from all this trouble. I've watched him while he's made more and more enemies. I've tried to warn him, but he keeps me at arm's length. He needs me now. Maybe at last he'll let me in.
Zac, Bart, it's dangerous. You've been with him. You could be recognised and arrested. We'll stay as near as we can to him. He needs us, and we're not moving. But you don't have to stay.
Mary, I'm confused. Surely God will rescue him. I believe he's the Messiah. My life is tied to his now.
I've never known anyone like him. When he came to Jericho, he stood by me, even though everyone else hated me. Now I want to stand by him.
Well, come on then. We'll go to the Roman headquarters. That's where they'll take him. At least we can try to let him know we're there. But things might get very ugly.
So, we'll go with them to the headquarters of the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate.
It's unusually early in the morning for Pilate to do business. His Excellency asks the council members to enter the square.
No, we will not. We would be made unclean if we enter. We bring this man, Jesus of Nazareth, for trial by His Excellency the Governor.
Oh, very well. Centurion, let me handle this directly then. What accusation do you bring against this man?
We found him perverting our nation, forbidding us to pay taxes to the emperor, and saying that he is the Messiah, a king. That is rebellion against the emperor.
Pilate and the centurion withdraw inside the headquarters. Roman soldiers take Jesus from the temple guards and escort him before Pilate.
Are you the king of the Jews?
You say so.
Do you not hear the accusations your own people make against you? What have you done?
My kingdom is not from this world. If it were, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over.
So, you are a king?
You say that I am a king. I was born and came into this world to testify the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice.
What is truth? Centurion, I think they want him dead out of jealousy. This would cause big trouble while the city is so crowded.
Pilate returns to the platform to face the priests, leaders and crowd.
I find no case against this man. You have a custom that I release a prisoner for you at the Passover festival. Do you want me to release for you the King of the Jews?
No!
Not this man.
Release Barabbas!
Then what should I do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?
Crucify him!
Crucify him!
Crucify him!
Why? What evil has he done?
Crucify him!
Crucify him!
Crucify him!
I am innocent of this man's blood. It is your responsibility. Release Barabbas. Centurion, have Jesus of Nazareth brought into the headquarters.
What happened next was horrendous. Soldiers stripped him. As he held on to a post, they flogged him. Little sharp pieces of flint and iron in the cords tore his flesh, gouging his back and arms. Blood streamed down.
Then, as they dragged him into the courtyard in the headquarters, some of the crowd went in. We slipped in among them. Soldiers formed a square around him so we couldn't get close. They put a purple robe on him. They twisted thorns into a crown and put it on his head. They spat at him and saluted him.
Hail, King of the Jews!
People in the crowd laughed at him. Then they took the robe off, put his own clothes back on him, and led him out to crucify him.
They put the cross on him to carry. An escort of soldiers was around him. We couldn't get close, though sometimes we could hear him. As they walked through the streets of Jerusalem, the crowd grew, some baying for his blood, others completely silent, looking shocked.
Not far along the road he fell, exhausted. The centurion dragged in a man from the crowd. His name was Simon. He'd come for the Passover all the way from Cyrene in Libya. They made him carry the cross behind Jesus. He looked terrified, but had no choice.
There were two others, criminals, also led away to be put to death with him. When they came to the place called Calvary, they offered him wine to drink, mixed with myrrh to dull the pain, but he wouldn't drink it. And there they crucified him and divided his clothes among them.
It was 9 o'clock in the morning when they crucified him. We stood by his cross. As they crucified him, I heard him.
Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
2 criminals were crucified, one on his right and one on his left. Our leaders jeered at him.
He saved others.
Let him save himself, if he is God's Messiah, the chosen one.
One of the criminals hanging there hurled insults at him, but the other criminals said,
Don't you fear God? You receive the same sentence as he did. We're getting what we deserve. He's done nothing wrong. Hey, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom.
I tell you truly, today you will be with me in paradise.
When it was noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. At about 3, Jesus cried out,
My God! Why have you abandoned me? Father, into your hands I commend my spirit.
Then he breathed his last.
We waited. The Sabbath day would start soon, and we knew they would remove the bodies before then. The soldiers broke the legs of the 2 criminals so that they dropped and suffocated and died. But Jesus was already dead. So to make sure, they pierced his side with a spear, and at once blood and water came out.
Then 2 members of the council came, Joseph of Arimathea, who secretly believed in Jesus, and Nicodemus, a leading Pharisee. Neither of them had agreed with the council's judgment. Soldiers took his body down, and Joseph and Nicodemus quickly wrapped it in burial cloths with spices and took it to a nearby garden. they put him in a new tomb that Joseph had made ready for himself. Then the sun was down and the Sabbath had started. But we had seen where they had put the body of my boy.
During the Sabbath, we could do no more. We had to wait.
In the early hours of the day after the Sabbath, the third day since his death, the women prepare spices to anoint the body of Jesus. Just before sunrise, they go to the tomb, not knowing how they can get into it.
Are we going to just ask the soldiers to roll the stone away for us?
I don't know, Martha.
And who's going to do the talking? Well, who is there? Everyone else is in hiding. We haven't seen them since the arrest. They're in shock, I know. We could do with them now, though, if only to think this through.
Oh, I don't know about that. If the men were with us now, the guards could get jumpy and think they were being attacked.
As they arrive at the tomb, they see the stone is rolled to one side, leaving the entrance open.
What's happened?
I'm going into the tomb. Mary, will you come with me? The body's been taken. The burial cloths are there, but not his body.
What's happened? And what's happened to the guards? I don't understand.
They see two figures dressed in pure white come and stand next to them. The women are clearly terrified, except Mother Mary.
Please tell us, what is happening?
Why are you looking for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen.
Remember how he told you, while he was still in Galilee, that the Son of Man must be handed over to sinners and be crucified, and on the third day rise again.
Go and tell all the others, and Simon Peter, that he is going ahead of you to Galilee, where you will see him just as he told you.
I don't understand what's happening.
They told us to go and tell the others.
We'd better go and find them. And my legs have stopped shaking.
Hold my hand. We'd better go. Come on.
I've told you, John. They've taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they've got him.
It looks empty from here, Simon, but you go in first.
The linen cloths are here, John, and the headcloth, all neatly rolled up. But no body.
Simon, what's happened? Where's his body? I don't understand. Who could have taken it? Simon, do you remember what he said?
Mary Mag is left standing alone in the garden outside the tomb, bent over with exhaustion, sadness, and confusion. A tear escapes her eye and begins to fall.
Woman, why are you crying? Who are you looking for?
Are you the gardener? Sir, if you've taken him away, tell me where you've put him, and I'll go and get him.
Mary.
Teacher!
Don't cling to me, Mary, because I've not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and tell them that I am returning, to him who is my Father and their Father, my God and their God.
And Mary Mag goes to tell whoever she can find. By the evening, she's in a house where people have slowly been gathering because of her news. The door is locked. They fear that the council might have them arrested too.
There seem to be more and more of us coming as the word gets around. It's Simon. Come in, Simon. We were wondering when you might come. Simon, are you all right?
I'm so sorry, Mary Mag. I'm so sorry. I didn't listen to what you said about the Lord meeting you this morning. I just couldn't believe that he would meet you and not me. When I needed so much to see him, I denied him and...
You've seen him, haven't you? He's come to you, and you've been talking with him. I can see it in your face and hear it in your voice. Simon, what happened? Cleopas!
The Lord is risen. He appeared to us on the way to Emmaus. We didn't recognise him at first, but when we realised it was him, we asked him in to eat with us. I feel like my heart's on fire.
The Lord has risen indeed, and he has appeared to Simon.
Lord!
Teacher!
Jesus!
Peace be with you. Why are you afraid? Look at my hands and feet. It really is me. Touch me and see. A ghost does not have flesh and bones as you see that I have.
They come close. Mother Mary first touches his face. John holds his hand. Jesus touches Bart's eyes. Bart looks into his face. Jesus hugs Simon, Peter and Zach.
Have you got anything to eat?
Here's some fish.
Thanks, Zach. Do you remember what I told you while I was still with you? Everything written about me centuries ago has happened. The Messiah was to suffer, rise from the dead on the third day. Repentance, forgiveness of sins, proclaimed in his name to all nations, beginning from Jerusalem. But for now, return to Galilee. Your wives and families there need you. Get back to your work, feed your families. I will meet you there too. And know this, I will always be with you.
And that is the story of the Son of Man, exactly as it had been predicted centuries before him. How he lived by love, died for love, and returned from the dead by the power of love. He came to fulfill the basic commandment of the Almighty by showing us how to love. He was clear that we should love one another as he had loved us, and he loved even the people who hated him, because he loved the unexpected, the unloved, and the rejected. 2,000 years later, he still does.
The Easter story was produced by Deepings Churches Together. The play was written by William Booker. It was adapted for radio by William Booker and Guy Torrance. The cast was as follows. Narrator, Kate Druitt. Jesus, Chris Midwood. Bart, William Booker. Zach, Stuart Hall. Martha, George Midwood. Judas and Matthew, Guy Torrance. Mary Mag, Linda Hall. Simon Peter, Clive Hankins. Stallholder, Jan Fisk. Chief Priest, Nick Holden. High Priest, John Moncrief. Pharisee, Jeff Armstrong. Scribe and Stallholder, Elaine Gregson. John, Ashley Baxter. Centurion and Penitent Thief, Kevin McCabe. Pilot and Cleopas, Simon Bish. Servant Girl, Julie Bowell. Mother Mary, Lisa Hughes. Mary Bethany and Stallholder, Kate Brown. Angels, Lynn Booker and Ruth Charlesworth. The named actors played all the additional roles. The director was Guy Torrance. The sound engineer was Phil Jones, assisted by Peter Robinson. Some sound effects were from freesound.org. Jan Fisk was the executive producer for Deepings Churches Together.